Okay, so I wanted to do kind of a quick spontaneous video here. This is Sterling Lujan. Lujan, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. Um, he did this session with the Greater Reset back in April of 2021 called Defeat a Nation State with Crypto Anarchy and Nonviolent Technologica. So I kind of wanted to pull a couple of clips from this video because this guy is a shameless transhumanist. It's pretty fucking clear. Watch.
Experience maybe a year of growth in a year. Maybe soon we're going to experience 5 years of growth in a year, maybe 10 years of growth in a year, maybe 15 years of growth in a year. And it's going to be very intense for some people. It's going to be like being on a legit, surreal roller coaster ride. So we have to prepare for that. But what ultimately I think is going to happen, the vision is that humans and technology merge, right? Because technology, in Kurzweil's words, is just evolution by another means. So the speed of evolution, the pace of evolution will increase because technologies and artificial intelligence will be able to replicate themselves and create even smarter machines. In the space of AI, this is called an intelligence explosion or super intelligence explosion. And I think this is a good thing because it provides even more freedom for humanity to become one with the technologies that we've created and to gain the ultimate kind of freedom imaginable. And so there was this time when I was in Acapulco at the Anarchapulco conference, and I was sitting on this resort on top of a hill looking over the beach. I had just dropped MDMA. I had taken my pill. I was starting to come up, and I was sitting at this resort, and I was looking out over the beach, and I had this beautiful, intensive vision that the fractals in the beach started to churn. They started to move around, and they started to connect themselves with things in the sky. There were like these. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it's a hallucination. It was more in my mind. But there were these robotic pieces that were merging with the fractal reality of the beach, and they just started stacking and stacking on top of each other, all the way to the top ad infinitum. And it was absolutely beautiful. And it reminded me of this Kurzweilian notion of the law of accelerating returns and intelligence explosion, with the McKinneyan notion of we're heading towards some kind of strange attractor. At the end of time, there's this accumulation of all the things we're building and all the things we're doing, and there almost seems to be some kind of purpose behind it. So this is sort of my spiritual vision. I'm not what you would call a theistic type of person, but I do believe the mystery is being deepened by the fact that technologies are growing so tremendously fast, and they're starting to become combined with our biological facility, with our skills and talents as human beings. So in a way, we were almost created to build. We were developed to build. It seems like evolution kind of geared the human brain and the opposable thumb to be able to create technologies that effectively subvert the code of the universe, allows us to really dig deep and figure out, and this is what's happening too with quantum computing, right? We're gonna build computers of such profound complexity that they're able to harness the laws of the quantum mechanical universe, primarily superposition, entanglement, these kind of things, and then we'll be able to do even more calculations, create better data processing units, and also attach this kind of stuff to AI and to fintech, these things that I was talking about. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. So as a futurist, I have a very optimistic outlook on what's happening. Now, that doesn't mean we don't need to be wary, and I'll get into this a bit again because there's two important people who have concerns about the AI revolution, and that's Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking before he died. These guys both said we need to make sure that we make the right decisions when it comes to AI as well, and that we press the right buttons and we design the right protocols, because AI could potentially turn into this snowball effect of great evil, especially if it's encoded with the principles of the nation state, right? If it's encoded with the principles of violence and nastiness and ugliness all across the world, then we're going to have a tremendously bad time. So we have to pay attention, because it definitely could be that we end up getting lesser freedom, techno dystopia, rather than more freedom, which is that techno utopian sentiment. So that is of utmost importance. So I think I'm probably getting pretty close to
Okay, so he positions the nation state as being the only obstacle as far as this technology turning into something bad. So, yeah, I wanted to touch on an earlier section of his video real quick, but first, I just wanted to point out this article. The World Economic Forum shares its vision for a decentralized global economy. So, in this global economy that they envision, um, I can see why a nation state, or I guess a collection of nation states, would get in the way of their vision. And they even have a policymaker toolkit specifically about decentralized finance, and it includes decentralized governance executed by the DAO. And so it shows this DeFi service as being a collection of several things. There's the centralized governance, partially centralized governance, and the decentralized governance. And the only thing that really distinguishes the decentralized governance is that it's run by the technology itself and not by a person, right? So I just want to make that clear, because a lot of people don't really understand that just because it sounds good, it's called decentralized, doesn't mean it necessarily is, because you're handing over quite a bit of power over to the technology itself. And with that in mind, let's watch a little bit more of what he has to say.
whoever created it, Satoshi Nakamoto, etched in the Genesis block. This is what was said. The message
About
encoded
blockchain,
in the Genesis block was "Chancellor on the brink of second bailout." So there was this word there that we don't want to deal with these government bailing people out and saving them and giving them money, giving their friends fiat, because that is what continues to prop up the pedestal of evil. So in order to fight back, we created these cryptocurrencies to put an actual decentralized currency into the mix, where the creator is unknown and there's no one person that government can go after, and there's also no way that they can shut this down, because it is a peer-to-peer technology. So now what we've done, the problem with Bitcoin, of course, is that it's not anonymous. I know that Derek Bros, John, everyone knows this. They've talked about it. You can use tools like Chainalysis. These are blockchain analytics and forensics tools where you can literally trace back transactions, and you can find out who a user is if indeed they transacted with a central exchange, which usually act as gatekeepers. These guys take AML, anti-money laundering, and KYC, know your customer data. So if you transact with them using Bitcoin, they're going to be able to trace you all the way back. So what we've had to create in tandem with Bitcoin is privacy or anonymous coins like Monero. Bitcoin Cash now has Cash Shuffle. That's great to compete with government. Anyway, he got raided by the feds. He was works of the fiat holder, so he's able to work out a deal and get out. But the fact remains that if you're seen as being able to compete with these guys, they are going to come after you. In come the decentralized peer-to-peer cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrency was actually created as a way to gum up the works of the fiat system. There's a reason that Bitcoin was created on the heels of the financial collapse in 2007, 2000.
Yeah, that's a real big question, isn't it? Bitcoin was created on the heels of the financial collapse of 2007, 2008. Should we see that as any sort of coincidence at this point? I'm not sure. It makes a whole lot of sense, right? Like, you crash the fiat currency and you devalue it, and so people look for other types of currencies. In come Bitcoin. Very mysterious creation of Bitcoin. No one knows where it came from. So, anyways, I just think that's interesting, because the World Economic Forum certainly has a place for decentralized blockchain services. So, it really is a question of, is there something dangerous about this technology, inherently speaking? Can it be used for good, as this guy likes to say? But to be honest, I don't really trust someone who has sort of a spiritual quest that involves the merging of man with machine. Not a fan of transhumanism, cybernetics, any of that stuff whatsoever. Yeah, so let's see them kind of respond to some criticism here, real quick.
She's kind of critical of old Derek and I as well, and the work that we're doing.
Michelle.
And she points out, rightfully so, that blockchain is playing a big role in the fourth industrial revolution, in the Internet of Things, in geospatial control, whereby they want people to have a digital blockchain identity. And then you can send tokens that give you access to certain privileges. So let's say that you get your first COVID vaccine and your second COVID vaccine, and then they send a token to your address that indicates that you have received the vaccine. And then when you go on public transportation, in order to get into the bus, you have to have that token in your address. This is stuff that's taking place and rolling out. But that doesn't mean that we have to falter or shy away from cryptocurrency. And as Derek Bros likes to point out, if we don't have to be victims and just seed this revolutionary technology, this evolutionary technology. Like you were saying, we can pursue decentralized means. We can step into it, and we can feel empowered, and we can accelerate the first decentralized evolution, which is essentially what we're aiming to do. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, and if it does get, I talked about this in my talk, if it does get really bad in certain jurisdictions, I like this idea from the nomad capitalist. The idea is go where you're treated best. So if things get really rough in certain...
Maybe like go to a different privately owned city, because that's what this blockchain is going to be based on. There's a couple of projects going on right now, one in Honduras, and they are pioneering a lot of fintech stuff. So I guess the idea is you can't trust the government, but you can certainly trust private industry. That will never lead you astray, even though it is, partially the role of the pharmaceutical companies that have landed us in such deep shit with regards to this COVID stuff. And if it weren't for the fact that they, kind of own our government and have that public-private partnership with them, I'm not really sure we'd be in this situation. So I have a hard time blaming everything on the nation state.
Certain jurisdictions, maybe it's true. Maybe we do just need to leave. We shouldn't have to leave because these are the immoral assholes who are hurting us on a grand scale. But we still have the opportunity to be part of this human capital flight and to leave.
So fighting back isn't something that's seen as a decent option. It's just running away from shit, right?
Those jurisdictions because they're so onerous regarding what we're trying to do in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. But I think overall...
Yeah, like these privatized cities are just, it's like Dubai, where it's not like it's actually like a freer place. It's just that they can avoid inconvenient laws elsewhere. And the damage that they're doing is still affecting people on a global scale. So anyways, that's all I really wanted to say here. Clearly, decentralized technology is a part of what the World Economic Forum wants to accomplish. And so they even, want to create the foundations for a decentralized economy. So again, like that would remove the power of the nation state, right? So in a way, it's like pretty much in line with what he's saying. And especially if, he looks up to people like Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking, who are clearly compromised, if for no other reason, this photograph right here and this photograph right here, in addition to all the other stuff that we know about them. I don't see a reason to trust it whatsoever. So, yeah. The fourth industrial revolution, and this article is kind of funny because it talks about, it acknowledges, conspiracy theorists see the World Economic Forum as a cabal of elites seeking to rule the world and keep everyday citizens under their thumb. And this article actually ends with saying, hold on. Where I hope people are getting to is understanding that decentralization isn't just, oh, we've all adopted my protocol, but rather it is about having all these different choices, right? Different choices. Let's just move on to a different city, different place if we don't like it. We have all these choices now. Then again, that's just the type of thing a manipulative group of elites secretly pulling the strings of the global economic system would want you to believe, isn't it?